We're on. Okay. Hi, I'm Mark Small. This is Civil Discourse Now. It is a wonderful autumn. It's a fantastic autumn. Our guest today is Blythe Potter, and she is running the Johnson County Council. Did I get that right?
Yep.
And you are from the Democratic Party in Johnson County. Is that true too?
Yes.
Okay. What are and where
Can
are
I
you
start
from?
and
What are
just
you
say
doing?
welcome? I'm so excited to have you here.
Sorry,
Thank you
Cassie
for having
Jackson.
me. Thank you.
I
And
apologize.
go on, Mark.
Blythe, tell us about yourself and where you're from and what you've done.
Well, I grew up in Marion County and Johnson County. My mom lives in Franklin Township still. I graduated from Franklin Central in 2000. I moved to Greenwood around 2005. And I've lived in Johnson County since. I'm currently in Bargersville, and I have a 4-year-old daughter, and she's my big motivator for getting involved. I've been an activist at heart my whole life. Of course, I didn't necessarily realize that was my personality until I was older. I'm like, oh yeah, that's why I always feel like an outcast, because I'm always raging against the way things are, right?
Right.
But with having my daughter in 2020, I found out right before COVID hit I was pregnant, and just everything that's happened since then, plus life experience. My husband and I are kind of like, well, do we stay? Do we leave? And we couldn't very well leave the state or the country without trying to fight to get things to where we think they should be, which is more center and more humanist, in my opinion. So I ran for Bargersville Town Council last year, and I couldn't not sit through this election and not be a Democrat on the ballot this year. So I picked County Council. And here we are. We're looking at another election. My husband's running for state rep, House District 47.
And what's his
And
name?
Michael Potter.
Okay, awesome.
He is a wonderful human being. He's a wonderful feminist and father. He's a scientist. And he's a really good partner to have and collaborate with in life. And we're both pretty pumped. Apparently, Johnson County has outfunded Kamala Harris, which is insane. Yeah, like for the county, Kamala versus Donald Trump, she's gotten more of our funds.
No, that is huge. That is fantastic.
Huge.
It's like, so huge. Should we do a moment of silence, like maybe 3 seconds? Where'd he go?
No.
Mark, you interrupted the 3 minutes.
And everything. That's just. I think you're going to find
ahead.
Hamilton County is a lot along the same lines. I think that the people who were pushing so long for Roe versus Wade to be overturned don't realize what they did.
Yeah.
And in a lot of ways.
Well, wait, can I just say one quick thing?
Yes.
Mark's like, no, please, Cassie, no, I thought you were spectating. But so I feel really silly. So I just want to, shout you out. Thank you for coming on so much. Thank you for being one of the sweetest women and willing to engage with me, briefly. But so I'm feeling really silly right now because I'm talking to you and a Michael and I think a campaign manager, and I had no idea that he was your husband this whole time until right now. And also, no idea. And then I have a 4-year-old little boy. When was your daughter born? Because he was born in
August of 2020.
Okay, he was May 2020. Yay!
Okay, gosh, yeah. You probably had it a bit worse, but that's a whole different.
The hospital, yeah, no one could come in. It was a whole thing. But no, okay, cool. So that's cute, and I'm glad that even though we've been chatting informally on and off, that now we've learned this about each other right now.
Yes.
Yes. Okay, Mark, your turn. Go. I'll stop.
Thank you. I just wanted to make sure. Are we done there?
We're done. We're done.
So you're running for Johnson County Council, and that really isn't like an all-encompassing legislative body, so to speak, for the county. What is it that the council does, and what is it that you think are important issues there?
So the council only sets budgets and taxes, and it's challenging because clearly I'm on the Democratic ticket and I have a Democratic mentality, which again, I don't think should necessarily be a partisan platform. But we have a history in Johnson County, which if you've ever been down here, of really terrible roads and very terrible connectivity. We're not a walkable town, city, or county by any stretch of the imagination. So the road repairs, county employee budgets, politician budgets. They keep upping their salaries every year, but we really just don't want to pay our county employees or have HR departments and things like that. They don't like to give the sheriff's department what they need, and there hasn't been a Democrat in probably my lifetime sitting on the county council. So it's just time to have a better representation of our community, because clearly we are a purple county.
That and really that is true. I don't think that people appreciate the fact that higher education goes hand in glove with people having more empathy and concern for others, and as a consequence, that makes them more likely to go blue. But that's an editorial comment by me. When I was reading your
I mean, I feel like that might be actually studied at this point, right?
I'm not sure.
I'm just only because I'm a social scientist, and
I think it is, but it's ironic because our friends in the GOP really love to tout Christianity, and I don't necessarily want to go this direction per se, but Jesus was a brown immigrant man who loved everyone. So
I love you so much. I just love you so much.
I think it doesn't make sense.
Well, I know.
Make it make sense is what you're saying, is what I'm hearing. Make it make sense.
Mike Royko said it's easier to be conservative than a liberal because it's easier to give somebody the finger than extend a helping hand.
Yes. I flip people off all the time.
I'm just gonna have to push back on that as the
let's go.
radical liberal mob boss and the F round find out HBIC. But I hear you. I do hear you. Okay, go ahead.
when I was going over your website, you were talking about you've done a lot of you've done stuff like yoga and everything, and you've gotten into fitness, and also you're looking at that like trails and everything for Johnson County. How does all that translate into what you're wanting to do?
Well, I didn't actually connect this until recently, and I didn't make this term up, which I hadn't heard it before, but wellness is my career. And being a combat veteran and coming home and having to deal with this Army mentality, which is very like, we just suck it up and do it, pull yourself up by the bootstraps, and you just make it work. PTSD and all of that, with the yoga and the wellness and the recentering and grounding and like calming and like paying attention to self-care and community care. I think the self-wellness and community wellness needs to start translating into political wellness and caring for the community, and not necessarily caring about what side of the aisle we find ourselves on. So really trying to extend that into how we govern, or how we are being governed, is what I'd like to find a harmony in.
Yeah, I was in a 5K down there, I think. That was in, I'm going to say 2012 or 2013, something like that. It was right after there had been a flood through Franklin Park.
Yeah, that would have been like 2000. Well, there was a flood in the park recently, but 2008, I think we had a really big flood.
Probably.
Down
so yeah, so it Franklin, Indiana?
Yeah,
mm-hmm.
It was.
Yeah,
no,
my really, Adam, hype boy, white boy, lives in that neighborhood. It was everywhere. Well, now it's just like I think a lot of the houses were destroyed, and I mean his was not, but because his was a little bit higher, there's a kind of a little slope, and then now it's all just turned into a park, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, it was a park before, anyway. But
no, I'm sorry, I'm on the wrong thing. My bad.
But it's like that got me really into fitness too. I try to be, but it was like when you're talking about not really pedestrian friendly, I think would be a way to say it. There are not a lot of places for walkways and stuff.
There are places for them. We just haven't done a good job. Like, the county knew it was going to grow. We've known this for a long time. And my husband and I have run more than 10 marathons together. And before we moved to Bargersville, like, we just kind of had to make trails work, or connectivity. We'd cross like US 31, and that's fine for two adults. But fast forward to COVID, when we're out walking more and with a baby, if I have to cross a highway to get to a trail or a park, that's a problem. That doesn't make sense.
That's and that really, when you're looking at wellness and trails like that, the money that's spent there translates to people being in better shape, and so lower costs on such things as healthcare and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I haven't seen any studies. I'm sure that there are.
Oh,
Let
there
me
are.
just speak. Let me just speak empirically, and I am also sure that I can cite multiple studies in the comments if anyone wants to see them, which is that as mental health and family nurse practitioner, we know that getting our heart rate up for more than 30 minutes a day to a certain place, right, is what we need to do to have cardiovascular health. The best way to do that, right, if we have anyone that has a barrier of cost or convenience, is to walk, right?
Yeah.
And so right there, you know.
I've done one marathon was all. I walked it. I got in just under 6 hours. How many marathons did you say you guys have done?
We've done over 10, and several of them were on trails. So we went well beyond. I think we went well beyond 6 hours sometimes. We
I'm like
weren't
learning
fast.
so much. I'm learning so much about you. I had no idea that you yourself were a combat veteran. Thank you for your service.
Thank
oh my
you.
goodness. Like, I mean, and that's just me because I didn't do really my research. I just am like, hey, you're talking to me. Let's be cool and have a game together. So I'm so sorry, but that's like
It's
really,
okay.
it's amazing. And I appreciate that. Also, you know, I do hot yoga, so I can't even imagine doing any kind of yoga and running. Mark's a fast walker, but it's really important that you bring this up because for me as mental health, that's what I specialize in. That connection between moving the body, right? And how you can regulate the mind and even the thoughts, right? Is so huge. People don't recognize it, that nutrition, but those things are going to be what saves us. And it wasn't even really on my radar until you said that, but in terms of doing the wellness into the politics, it makes perfect sense. It seems like obvious, but just like stating it the way that you did, I don't know. I love that. I think that was really powerful. Thank you.
Thank you.
Getting back to that.
Sorry.
When you're looking at, is there a specific project you want to do? What is it?
They adopted a trail plan in 2019. Now, I'm not saying that it's exactly how I would want it to be, but I think that's a great place to start. We just need to fund it. And of course, you know, the best thing about living in Johnson County is we have low taxes, but it's obviously also the worst thing about living in Johnson County because we don't fund these projects. So what I am going to propose, if I'm elected, is the TIF districts, the businesses in TIF districts, the businesses that have big tax abatements, which there are so many of them. They're not funding our schools, they're not funding our roads, they're not funding our trails. So we've got like the adopt a roundabout and adopt a median and adopt a highway plans. Why don't we do adopt a trail plan? So churches, they're not taxed. Tax abatements, these businesses and entities that aren't physically contributing with their tax dollars, let's ask them to adopt these sections of the trail plan. We can have ribbon cuttings and signs and whatever nonsense they need to be recognized for. But I think that might be a good place to start to kind of meet in the middle, because if only one of the three Democrats gets elected, it's still going to be us versus them. So we're going to have to find a good marriage on how we go about the budget.
Blythe, if somebody's wanting to look at your website, where do they go for that?
BlythePotter.com.
Okay. Anything else you want to say? Otherwise, we'll just kind of close out. Thank you for being on the show. Is any parting thoughts to voters?
Yes, just make sure you vote. You do not have to vote for everyone who's on the ballot. There are a lot of uncontested Republicans on there. You don't have to vote for them if they don't align with you. And if you don't want to vote for any Democrat or Republican, still make sure you're voting for your school board.
Yes.
Check out those people. Check out the at-large people. Just hitting one side of the aisle does not hit at-large. It does not hit school board. It doesn't say yes or no with the Supreme Court and some of the other things. And it's very important because your municipal candidates and your school board affect a lot more than any of us have ever been taught in most of our classes. It's important. It matters. It's boring, but it matters.
Well, I thank you very much.
Thank you so much for having me.
Absolutely. Cassie, it's been fun as always. Peace to everybody.
Thank you.
Have a nice afternoon, evening.
Thanks.